it's Liz Robson, CEO and founder of Worth It. Worth It specialises in the early intervention and prevention of mental health problems in children and young people using applied positive psychology and coaching psychology. We work with schools, school leaders, teachers, practitioners that specialise in working directly with young people to use positive psychology and coaching psychology to increase basically young people's capacities and resources for wellbeing and resilience. So what I want to talk about today, after that long-winded introduction, is the education wellbeing reform that's coming. So last week, Bridget Phillipson, our new Secretary MP for Education, I never know the correct terminology, did a speech where she talked about how being academically successful is no longer going to be a priority for schools, and what young people need is to belong at school, and well-being is going to become an increasing priority. Hooray! I've been waiting for this moment for 13 years. There was glimmers of it when we had the coalition government, and things were looking quite good at that point, with the transformation plan and everything. And then things changed and became more and more academically pressurizing. And look at what's happening now. We've got massive issues around mental health problems in children and young people at epidemic proportions, 1 million referrals to CAMHS a year. We've got a teacher workload crisis. We've got staff stress and workload, and so many academic staff wellbeing issues in schools, actually causing a droves of teachers to leave the profession. We've got behaviour issues, we've got persistent absence, we've got emotionally based school avoidance, we've got variable exam results, and just like the whole system is cracking and quaking and crumbling. So I welcome the changes that she's suggesting and championing. I'm not a political person. I am talking about this from a lens of a person who has been working with schools for several years to improve wellbeing. And yes, I have got an agenda. Yes, I would like to work with more schools to be able to do this work. But it's not just me. There's a whole load of positive psychology practitioners out there who can help you develop wellbeing and resilience of your school so that your children and young people can thrive. So she talked about the term thriving. In positive psychology, we call it flourishing. Same thing, same, but different. So what does it mean for a young person or a child to thrive or flourish? I've got a video defining flourishing. I'll link to it above. But it basically means feeling good, functioning well, day to day, and overall good for me and good for those around me. So if we can create a culture, an ethos that enables children to flourish whilst they're at school, or thrive whilst they're at school, then you are enabling them to develop internal resources and capacities that they can use now and in future that help improve their well-being and help them to be resilient and deal with the challenges of life that are coming. Like, we don't know what the future of our children is going to look like. The technological advances are so fast now. The jobs that the kids that are in school right now are going to do, the jobs my kids are going to do, don't even exist right now. So that's just one way of looking at it. We've also got the health outcomes and the fact that mental illness starts around the age of 14 and lasts a lifetime, and the life outcome and the health outcome chances are significant of people that develop a mental health problem in adolescence. They die earlier. Like, they have less ability to contribute, to work and contribute. So this is like a whole societal issue. It's not just, oh, wishy-washy, schools need to be happier. They do need to be happier, because it's a fundamental place where we can protect children from the onset of mental health problems. So schools do need to change, they do need to reform, they do need to improve well-being. But it's like, I think it's got a bit of a bad rap, well-being. It's seen as like a wishy-washy thing. It's seen as like, let's get some apples for the staff room and we'll all do yoga on our inset day. No, that is not enough. or it's mixed up with physical health. So physical health is part of well-being. Drinking water is a basic human need. I mean, I've seen like sort of like staff wellbeing stuff where they talk about like, oh, how much water are you drinking? It's like that isn't a wellbeing thing. That's just like a functioning as a human being thing. If that's as far as your wellbeing policy is going to go, apples for the staff room, drink more water. There's a lot more further you can go with it. So what we need to be doing is looking at different models and theories from positive psychology and using a coaching approach and methodology to integrate that into schools so the coaching amplifies the positive psychology techniques to work. And then what that can do is create this whole school system approach, whole school process where everything interacts and interrelates with each other. Schools are a dynamic, ever-changing, moving system. So what we have to do is increase the quality of the interactions. It's through the quality of the interactions of the individuals in that school environment. That's how you facilitate well-being. That's how you embed belonging. That's how you can help children and young people to thrive. It is using tools and resources. So everybody wants a tool or a thing or a silver bullet. There is no thing. The thing is, increase the qualities of the relationships and interactions, and then every tool, every resource, you've got millions of PDFs already. I've files and files of handouts. It's not the handouts, it's your relationship with the kids that you work with. It's your relationships with your colleagues and your camaraderie and your sense of belonging and teamwork and the ability to offload emotionally and the ability to help a child regulate so they can access learning and the ability to help them develop self-reflection and autonomy and intrinsic motivation and self-belief and confidence and self-worth and self-efficacy and resilience and problem solving and growth mindset and the ability to experience positive affect and label their positive emotions and all of that. They're all the tools and strategies that I would teach you on one of my programs, but they're all sort of facilitated through these positive interactions that create this atmosphere of belonging. So Phillipson talked about belonging and how important that is in school environments. So again, that's something I've been saying for years. I've got videos on how schools create belonging. I've got a couple about academic models as well. And if you like a bit of theory on how belonging is created in schools based on some case studies and academic research that's been published. So you can do that through, again, coaching, because coaching conversations help people feel that they belong, in a nutshell. They help people feel seen, heard, understood, have empathy, and so that then they can identify their own resources and their own solutions, no matter what the situation is. It's through that process of coaching that you're creating this culture of belonging. And the culture then facilitates the application of the internal resources for resilience. What we can think about well-being in sort of incorrectly is it's kind of done to. You need good well-being. I'll give you some. Here's a tool to give you some well-being. But it's not. It's a dynamic process where it's sort of facilitated through conversations and feelings and connection and wishy-washy stuff that everybody hates me talking about because it's not tangible. You can't see it. You can't touch it. It's a feeling, it's an atmosphere, it's a smile, it's a when you go somewhere it feels calming or pleasant or enjoyable. There's joy, there's laughter. It's the way communication is happening in the playground. When I go into a school that's got a really good well-being approach to well-being or a high sense of belonging or the kids are thriving or flourishing, whatever terminology you want to use, I don't care what terminology you use, you pick your own terminology that suits what you're trying to do in your school. But it's about how can we make the intangible tangible? How can you make it understandable and accessible so that everybody is singing from the same hymn sheet? And that isn't about doing a million different things and everyone's doing their own thing and throw a million ideas at the wall and see what sticks. It's about picking one thing, one sort of flagship pillar, if you like, of how you're going to develop well-being. So that could be empathy, trust, restorative approaches, growth mindset, resilience, whatever the thing is that you want to focus on, and then you consistently apply that at every level through your whole school system. So I've got a whole school system model that talks about embedding it through policy, process, place and people, through the day-to-day interactions that facilitate well-being, through your well-being curriculum that's taught explicitly, teaching. So this is implicit and explicit. So explicitly teaching well-being in the curriculum through lessons and topics, and also integrating it into a wider curriculum through, you know, picking stories that are of resilient characters, or reflecting on the emotions that a character might be feeling in a story, or using a strengths-based approach. Maths, failing on purpose and seeing how you deal with failure, or science. So there's loads of ways that you can integrate positive education techniques into your academic curriculum, as well as having your sort of standalone well-being curriculum. Those two things can dovetail into each other. They don't have to be two different things. Then we have teacher well-being as a sort of core, and teachers learning and sharing the wellbeing curriculum, or how to integrate wellbeing into their curriculum. And then we have targeted intervention for those children and young people who are at risk of developing a mental health problem, or who have a more acute, like more identified need, and we want to intervene earlier, ideally using coaching. In my world, that you use coaching, but you can use other different interventions, group work, counselling, and then referrals onto a pathway to CAMS for the children and the young people that need more intensive intervention, because their needs are greater, their needs are higher or more specialised. So then they get access to that quicker. We have parents and carers feeding in, we have stakeholders and agencies feeding into this ethos, and at the core we have a leadership and management team that champion a whole school approach to wellbeing. So if you're a leader of a school and you are like, oh my God, this change is coming, we've been focused so much on academics, and now you want us to focus on well-being and belonging, what? I hope that you welcome that change. And if you feel overwhelmed and you don't know where to start and you don't know what to do, and it feels so wishy-washy and intangible and to you, get in touch with me, because I have a program. It's called Wellbeing Club, and it's for school leaders or people that want to develop a whole school approach to wellbeing. And it's a practical resource library of training, practical downloadable resources, tools and techniques to develop your wellbeing curriculum, to lead your wellbeing culture, to bring your staff with you along that way, to get children's voice involved, as you need to involve them in the changes that you want to develop, because that's going to be really effective. And also for staff wellbeing as well. So there's a whole section on tools and resources for staff wellbeing, because I could work with you as a consultant and say, I'll come and tell you what to do. But I want you to understand the nuts and bolts of how to develop a whole school approach to wellbeing, like some of the key theories and some practical tools to then apply those theories. So then you can know what's best for your school and your staff and your children, your pupils, because you know your school better than any external expert that's going to come in and help you. I'm sure there's going to be some resources and PDFs and information, but you need someone with a practical how to coach you through that process of change, so to help you figure out the quickest wins and what's going to make the biggest difference to your school. So if you need help with that, go on my website, check out, I've got a free taster course which actually talks about how one primary school that we work with embedded their whole school approach to wellbeing. Oh God, it'd be about 8 years ago now. So we worked with them in 2016. They then developed their program for 6 years till it was fully embedded. And that's how long it takes to develop a whole school approach to wellbeing, by the way. A whole cohort needs to go through from reception to year 6, or from year 7 to year 13, needs to go through that school to get a fully embedded whole school approach to wellbeing. So yeah, check out below. I've got my free taster course, and if you want help, you want me to work with you as a consultant, the most cost-effective way is to join Wellbeing Club, and then you get to work with me and access all my resources, and a shortcut to developing wellbeing, which is going to be coming. So it's just a matter of time for your school to look at this. And if you want to be ahead of the curve, or you are feeling that that's something you wanted to do anyway, and now's the right time before the reform is officially out, then have a look at my stuff, you know, see what you think. There's loads of information you can read about, just to educate yourself a little bit more on what a whole school approach to wellbeing looks like. And I'll be back soon.